Guys, it is a good day to be a car enthusiast. The EPA just got a huge blow and they are losing power quickly. There is so many different court cases and different things that are taking some of the EPA's power and rightfully taking it away. This one, it doesn't talk about the EPA at all, but the Supreme Court handed down a judgment that will strip the EPA of power without them even realizing it, I'm sure. I'm sure they talked about it. I'm sure they knew, but they were able to strip some power in a third-party case. So this is about the SEC, but, you know, the SEC is pretty much just the EPA of finance, where anything cool you want to do, they stop. So, Jarkesy versus the SEC. I practice amateur law, as many of you guys that watch this channel know. I read a lot of law. I try to understand it. I don't know why they use such big words. They think they're so freaking cool, but I try. So, Supreme Court ruling. A lot of this is going to focus on ALJs, which is an administrative law judge, which is basically a judge within the regulatory body. So, if I'm understanding this fully, and if you're any lawyer out there and you want to explain it more, hop in the comments or message me or something. The understanding that I've gathered from how this system works is the SEC or any other regulatory body, IRS, NSA, probably not the NSA, probably more regulatory bodies, not spying organizations. So regulatory bodies, the FCC, the FDA, all of those guys that regulate things, they hire their in-house judges to cast ruling on anybody who they give a fine to. So this particular individual, he was a member of the Tea Party, taxed enough already, TEA, I like that. Started a hedge fund, first person to call Obama a communist, and then in 2011, the SEC fined him for his hedge fund. I don't know if that's a coincidence, whatever, but he took this case to the Supreme Court because he felt that the SEC was not able to issue ruling on him because they are the regulatory body. They are only able to bring the case to trial, not have an in-house trial. That's how checks and balances are supposed to work. Regulatory body, legislative branch, and the judiciary branch. So the regulatory agency was trying these cases. So if you think about somebody like, J.H. Diesel or PFI Speed, they are getting fines from the EPA, and it's done. They have cast the ruling already. They have circumvented, in a way, the judiciary process. This already passed and good and free and clear, and this is the new norm now. If you get a ruling, if you get a fine from the EPA, you take it to trial. You have the right now to take it to a trial, a jury of your peers. That does not mean that you are going to win automatically. That does not mean that the outcome might be any different. But now you have the right to actually use the government the way that it was supposed to be used. Checks and balances. So these ALJs that are employed by these governing bodies are no longer the authority as it should be. So it takes the power away from the single branch of government that had it all. This affected so many cases, hundreds of cases a year across the board, all of these regulatory bodies, and gives it back to the courts. So I don't know if this will be able to undo some stuff that's already been done. I don't know if, somebody like JH who's paid, 6 digits to the EPA without a real trial can get any of this back. PFI Speed, I don't know if any of those guys are going to be in a better situation, but moving forward, the EPA now knows that anybody they come after has more rights. They are able to bring this to a trial, a jury of their peers. if nothing else, they can drag it on for longer. They can fight more. They can appeal more. They can have a outside body actually be a part of this for the first time ever. So all of these regulatory agencies, they haven't lost more power, but they've lost more power, but it's not that they can't regulate these things. It's that they don't have it all in-house. They don't get to make the rules, enforce the rules, and give you your trial all in-house. That's not how this is supposed to work. One person makes the rules, one person enforces the rules, and then one person sets the punishment, if you will. It works pretty well, and they were circumventing it. So now we are actually at a level playing field, and I'm very excited for this. I think this is going to help the car industry moving forward, and I think we're going to see a lot of cases either not appear or play out very differently, because now you're not standing in front of a judge that's hired by the EPA or getting a ruling from a judge that's hired by the EPA. You're getting a ruling from a jury of your peers, or at least a judge at an outside court. It doesn't even make sense when you think about it that the judge was in-house. It just doesn't even make sense. So I wanted to talk about that quick, guys. Shout out to the Supreme Court. They ruled like 6-3 on this, so super awesome there. Shout out to Jarkesy for bringing this to the Supreme Court. You know, it takes people like this to fight and push for this kind of stuff for it to actually happen. And a guy like this who, I don't know anything about him besides he fought the fight to get it to the Supreme Court, and it took a decade to do it. So very cool, really cool that this kind of worked out, and it gives the power back to the people. And that's what government's all about. And this has to bring you some more warm, fuzzy feelings in the system working a little bit more in your favor. Because if you're fighting the EPA and you have a jury of your peers in Florida, you might do a little better than if you have a jury of your peers in New York, or if you're fighting the EPA and you have a jury of your peers versus the judge that's hired by the EPA to cast judgment on you, you might do a little better. So this kind of livens up the fight a little bit here, guys. So anytime something like this happens, I'm going to talk about it because there's a lot going on, and I think not many people are going to cover this in the car world. So rejoice a little bit, guys. Happy Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is awesome. I'm really pumped. But that'll do it. There's a few more Supreme Court rulings on EPA stuff already passed, and there's a few more that I want to talk about. So we got some exciting stuff coming. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it saucy. I'll see you next time.